No, I get it. You beat Georgia. Georgia hadn't lost over 40 regular season games. So I'm fine with them leapfrogging everybody else, beating Georgia. That was one of the, and we talked about it late last week. I said it's a perception game. In fact, Friday, I said perception for Jalen Milroe to now be the Heisman Trophy candidate, leading candidate. And then, Kalen DeBoer with Nick Saban on campus with his wife, and she's picking games. This is perception where it's all of a sudden it's like, okay, that guy can coach. That guy, we don't have to worry about the future. But you're watching that game back and forth, and it was wild. Chris Fowler was on the call. He joins us now. How's the voice today, Chris?
It was about 60% Sunday morning. It improved yesterday. I expect it to be close to 100% for tonight here in Miami.
When did you, Chris, on the call for the Dolphins and the Titans, when did you get a sense of this was actually going to be a competitive game?
Good question. It was 28-0, 18 minutes in. And there's a lot to talk about, though, because we'd never seen a Georgia defense look worse. The Kalen DeBoer era in a big home game and Jalen Milroe becoming the Heisman frontrunner with live odds in the second quarter when it's 28-0. There was a lot of compelling stuff, but you want to see a competitive game as they began to claw back in. I think we got to 30-15 at that point. Alabama hadn't scored a touchdown in a long time. They had a field goal and a safety, but they had stopped scoring touchdowns, and Georgia had cut the lead in half. And at that point, you figured, okay, they've got a quarterback who can throw the ball downfield when he's not throwing it to the other team. And Georgia has the championship DNA, and you never quit. And also, you could just sense that Alabama human nature was just throttling back. It was so easy, so shockingly easy. And we didn't think it was going to come down to what happened with the leads changing twice in the last minute, but you had to hope it would be competitive because Georgia's Georgia, and they're not going to roll over.
And just to have that, and I said it's a perception game more so for Alabama with the new coach and Jalen Milroe, who was really good at the end of last year, and kind of having a coming out party. I mean, you had these moments there that it feels like every Heisman winner needs one of these games. Did Jalen Milroe maybe distinguish himself as he is clearly the front runner in your eyes?
No, I don't know. It's early. I think he distinguished himself as a guy that has really grown and improved since last year, right, Dan? I mean, the question was, he makes electric plays. He also makes mistakes in big moments. He beat Georgia in Atlanta in the SEC championship game. He was clutch late. He goes against Michigan. He has a crucial fumble midfield. Not his fault at the end of the game, but he had the ball in his hands when he couldn't get in the end zone. He took that very hard. I think the coaching regime change for him was really, really important and valuable. Remember, he got benched a year ago, okay? He plays poorly against Texas, his home state. He doesn't play against USF, and he spends the rest of the year trying to rebuild his confidence, but he's still got that in his head. They sat me down, okay? And they embarrassed me. Now, I think with this new coaching staff, Nick Sheridan is a play caller for Kalen DeBoer, but it's still Kalen DeBoer's offense. It's a beautiful offense for the passing scheme. They've coached him beautifully in the offseason, a lot of smart people around him. Hey, when you get pressured, don't run backwards 11 yards. Don't take these disastrous sacks. Protect the ball. Do your job. And he's taken that coaching really well. And I think we saw the freedom and a confidence and a belief in himself that maybe could only happen with a fresh start in that way and being surrounded by a lot of smart offensive people.
We're talking to Chris Fowler on the call for the Titans-Dolphins coming up tonight. He was there with Georgia and Alabama. We know that Ryan Williams is 17 years of age. We're suggesting that he change his number to 17. And then next year is 18, next year is 19, and then next year's is 20. What do you think, Chris?
The number 2 is a big number at Alabama. It's weird that number 2 on offense and defense, both freshmen made the big plays, and that Xavier Brown made the pick to secure it at the end. No, he's just so different, Dan. I can't even describe. It doesn't even come through on TV. You look at the stats, you can hear he's 17, but just to be around him and hear what his teammates have to say and his coaches, it's so exciting to see a dude who comes along who's just different. I rode back down here to Miami with Desmond Howard after the game. He knows receivers, and it was just so interesting to hear his perspective. He did about 3 different things on that last catch for a touchdown that was just, wow, are you kidding me? getting open, body control to make that contorted catch, split defenders, outrun them. I mean, and I talked to him pregame, and I said, I don't usually talk to college players pregame. It's kind of something I try to give him space, but he came over and was just hugging Holly Rowe and saying hello. I'm like, are you kidding me? This guy is that age, and he's in his first really big game, and that's how chilled he is before kickoff against Georgia. And I said, you don't look like this is too big for you. And he goes, no, sir. Like, you look like you were ready for this from birth. And he said, I am. And he goes out and plays like it. And, when you lead your team in catches and yards, your first 4 games of your career, and your team is Alabama, it's just, we haven't seen that. And it's so exciting for us in college, because I know the draft guys already, where would we take him? Easy. We got him for 3 years. We got him for 3 years in this sport.
Have you ever called a game where you can't hear yourself?
We couldn't hear ourselves Saturday night because we were having technical problems. I don't think you mean that. I mean, you think
no. No, I'm talking about so you had technical difficulties?
We had a generator die on us. I mean, the crew did an amazing job. The generators, you rely on that. I mean, it could have been a disaster, like no broadcast. One dies, and they bring in the backup game day generator with a police escort. They get it to the stadium, and everything is computerized. And imagine a laptop dies and doesn't shut down properly. You got to bring it back to life. Well, now that's times a million with these electronic trucks. So we got up and running, but no, we could not hear ourselves in the open. For example, your mic just kind of goes out. But the crowd noise was as loud as I've heard it at Alabama, which is not, I would say, one of the loudest places on earth for football. It's a huge place, but it's only the 5th biggest stadium in the SEC. And it's not known for being, I don't think, one of the loudest. But they were unhinged, and it was pandemonium in there when it was 28-0. And again, at the end of the last play. So I hope we can be heard on the air. We get that complaint last night sometimes that you guys, the crowd was too loud, but I was screaming as loud as I possibly could some of those last calls. So I can't do anything more, Dave.
How do you explain Florida State?
I don't know. It gets rougher, it seems, by the week. And SMU going in there, and it's weird to think of that being a conference game, but I don't know how to explain it, except that confidence and belief are powerful in sports, and momentum. And I think when you have it, it's magical. When you don't, it's fatal. I don't know what's going on there. There's still way too much talent for them to play like that. But when you have programs where they expect high results and goals, when those goals aren't in play, all of a sudden, it's really a test of culture. And culture in the portal era, when you're bringing in 25, 30 new guys sometimes, is challenging for coaches. I don't know what's going on. They play Miami down here in Miami coming up, and look out. I mean, they better find some heart and some resilience and some belief in a hurry, or it's going to get way out of hand if it isn't already.
The difference in calling a game, a college game, and then going into the NFL game, tempo, any difference in how you're going to call the game or the feel of a game?
Yeah, I think there's a difference, and every game feels different. I know you want to be authentic to that. I mean, I called a game in Buffalo last Monday. I'd never seen a game in that stadium. That's a college-like environment. The Bills fans were tremendous, and I had a lot of fun doing it, even though it was a blowout. There are subplots and storylines here. The over-under is 36.5. You got 2 really struggling offenses. So we might celebrate a first down in a way that you wouldn't typically do it. Tyler Huntley arrives about 10 days ago. He's starting for Miami at quarterback. Will Levis has had massive turnover problems. And you've got 2 head coaches who are the play callers, who are very smart people and very intent on getting things going. No, look, here's the board. I mean, the board for an NFL, it's blurry. I'm sorry. I'm not blurry in my head, but everything else is blurry. If you could have seen that chart, you'd notice there's about half the players that are on a college chart. So the names are much easier to get to know. The tempo is different. And I think that, sometimes the energy in the stadium is different. I made a joke that with Kirk Saturday that it's going to be hard to top this when you go down and talk about the Dolphins and Titans 1-5 combined coming in. But I think that I get excited doing this. I love working with Louis Riddick and Dan Orlovsky and Laura Rutledge. It's a fun team. I learn a lot every week about the NFL. I think I know something about football, but this is a language that's different and new. And there's so much to learn and know, and so many smart people surround this production that I have to get a kick out of it. Yeah, you're not going to hear a Ryan Williams game-winning touchdown call tonight, probably that energy level. But you never know. We did this game a year ago, Dan, and Tennessee had an historic comeback. I mean, they're down 14 inside of 3 minutes to play, and they win the game in regulation, which had never happened in 800 games of that situation. So anything's possible, and we'll be ready for it.
Once again, Ryan Williams is 17. Just want to let you know.
I know viewers they're giving us a hard time about saying that, but he should be playing for Saraland High School in Mobile, Alabama, and he's out making plays against a Kirby Smart defense and making them look silly. So it is worth repeating.
I think what was interesting is he skips his senior year, that you're the player of the year, sophomore, junior year, and then you reclassify. And usually you got guys who want to go to have a gap year and then go in, certainly in basketball. I mean, he's 17 saying, and he's not going to turn 18 until after the football season's over.
It's happening a little bit more and more because the NIL money has changed things. You can get paid in college, and so it's a good reason to reclassify if you're able to do it. Georgia has a 17-year-old guy, defensive lineman. He didn't get in the game. He might have got out there a couple snaps, but Williams being a star at that age and being when Kalen DeBoer got there and he has this meeting with the team late at night and he speaks to the entire football team and they're trying to figure out who's this guy and what's our future look like. The minute that complete team meeting ends, Kalen goes right into the wide receiver room because he had broken up into groups. He goes right into that room first. It wasn't an accident. They get in the plane, and the first thing you have to do as a new coach these days is re-recruit your roster because Williams did decommit, like a lot of guys. You decommit to sit back and weigh your options and just hit the pause button. And so Kalen gets on a plane, and they start zipping around to these places. And Mobile, Alabama was like destination one to go down there and visit with the family and assure him that we're still going to throw the ball. Look, we did at Washington, Roma Dunze, Jalen Polk. We had great receivers. It's a receiver pass game friendly offense, and talk to the family. Here's who I am, and get them on board. And they did it. And you see what happened on Saturday night. It was an important re-recruiting job that he did right away. And that's how he knew how important this 17-year-old kid was.
Yeah, that's a great point. Have fun tonight. Good luck with an encore there, Chris. But thanks for joining us.
If you love defense,
it's
the place to be tonight on Monday night, man. Enjoyed it, man. Let's do it again.
All right, buddy. That's Chris Fowler, voice of ESPN ABC.